There's a growing problem of infectious diseases resistant to the available antibiotics. This will greatly reduce the effectiveness of a lot of medical care. It can be slowed by measures to, control the use of antibiotics, but it can't be stopped. So in the end, we need new antibiotics. 10 years ago, a report commissioned by the UK government pointed out that large pharmaceutical companies were abandoning work on new antibiotics. These products are unprofitable because of the need to delay the emergence of resistance by limiting their use. The report called for a combination of push incentives to fund discovery and development of new drugs and pull incentives to reward companies for bringing new antibiotics to market. Quite a rational approach. Despite efforts to encourage over 10 years to encourage countries to put these incentives into place, the amount of money committed has been relatively modest. Large pharmaceutical companies have continued to withdraw from the search for new antibiotics, and fewer people are working on this issue. There is a growing realization of the need to adapt this strategy to a changing context. Now, the rapid development of effective vaccines and treatments in response to COVID has underscored how the global life sciences sector has changed. First, innovations in the use of big scientific infrastructure and the application of artificial intelligence have made it possible to accelerate the discovery of new drugs through new kinds of partnership between academic research centers, specialized scientific infrastructure, and companies with expertise in the development of manufacturing of new drugs. Second, several middle-income countries demonstrated significant capacity in the life sciences sector, a big change over the past 10 years. These countries are experiencing higher levels of resistance to antibiotics and have a much greater need for new and effective products. Finally, and third, many countries experience problems with access to vaccines, leading to pressure for more inclusive approaches to drug discovery. These developments are creating big opportunities for accelerating the discovery and production of new antibiotics. But this will require a shift from reliance almost exclusively on governments, scientific institutions, and companies based in the global north to a more inclusive strategy. The IDS has participated in the creation of LEAD, a coalition led by Chris Dowson, a senior scientist based at Warwick University. The partners include leaders in science, public health, and policy engagement. Its purpose is to support national and international efforts to accelerate the discovery and development of new antibiotics. The work began in the UK and Japan with the organization of policy fellowships for future leaders from the Japan Institute for Health Security and the UK Health Security Agency. These are key organizations in each country's effort to protect public health. The Graduate Institute of Policy Studies in Tokyo organized the activities in Japan. The aims were to build mutual understanding of the strengths and weaknesses of each country's antibiotic innovation ecosystem, identify options for change, and agree areas for bilateral cooperation. We also organized meetings with potential partners in India and China. I'll share some findings. The UK has led the mobilization of an international effort to address AMR. Its government has provided funds for both push and pull incentives. The so-called Netflix model that pays a fixed amount per year to the producer of an effective new antibiotic, regardless of the quantity used, is viewed as a model of good practice. More recently, it has published an industrial strategy that sets a target to become one of the top 3 countries in the life sciences sector through the implementation of a systems-level approach. This strategy emphasizes the importance of international partnerships. We will facilitate a meeting in Parliament next month to explore how this approach can accelerate the discovery of new antimicrobial drugs, building on, amongst other things, UK strengths in cutting-edge science and in leadership of the global effort to tackle antimicrobial resistance. The Japanese government has recently established the Japan Institute for Health Security to coordinate the development of vaccines and drugs to address infectious diseases. There's a lot of interest in the potential for collaboration between Japan and the UK in antibiotic discovery. But Japan is also exploring options for collaboration with countries in Southeast Asia in the ASEAN region and is organizing a meeting in March to agree next steps. India has a successful pharmaceutical sector that is a major supplier of generic products to the global market. In collaboration with the Public Health Foundation of India, we've met with academic research centers, private pharmaceutical companies, government agencies, and philanthropies to explore opportunities for UK-India collaboration on antibiotic discovery. We found a strong interest, including at the highest level of government. The next step will be to organize opportunities for policy actors and scientists from the public and private sectors in India and the UK to explore opportunities for collaboration and identify actions for overcoming constraints. These include cooperation between regulatory agencies, collaboration on high-quality clinical trials, and agreement on how to finance drug development. The aim is to build strong partnerships that build on the relative strengths of the two countries. The Chinese pharmaceutical sector has a lot of capacity for research and development. It is second only to the United States now as a source of new drugs. This raises the question of whether it will contribute to the development of new antibiotics, despite the lack of a profitable market. The Chinese government has made several statements supporting global health and has made commitments to contribute to the development of global public goods. The Department of Global Health at Peking University, a major source of policy advice to the government, has agreed to join the LEAD coalition and explore possibilities for collaboration on discovery of new antibiotics. Last week, Chinese and British researchers met in Beijing to identify priorities for bilateral cooperation as part of what is called a Track 2 process. And now our Prime Minister is in China. The joint development of new antibiotics as a global public good would be an excellent area for collaboration. We are fast approaching 2030, as Anu pointed out, the target date for the Sustainable Development Goals. There are grounds for concern about whether it will be possible to reach agreement on new and implementable global development priorities in the current context of intense economic competition and geopolitical contestation. However, there's a broad consensus on the need for collaboration on health issues, and this may be an area on which agreement will be possible. I will draw on two ideas that Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, presented in his speech at Davos to outline a way forward. First, we need to name reality. In global health, this means recognizing the need to shift from a segmented view of global health governance, with countries in the global north putting in place many norms and standards to regulate their health sectors, and with so-called global health, mostly concerning countries supported by international aid. Policies that affect the availability, cost, and safety of key inputs to health services are at least as important as those concerning development assistance. We need to move towards more inclusive governance arrangements based on widespread agreement on objectives for global health and in roles and responsibilities of each country. I do not believe that it is realistic to expect global agreement on new governance arrangements for this large and complex sector anytime soon. And that takes us to the second idea. In the meantime, we need to build different coalitions for different issues based on common values and interests. The process we've been following to build collaboration for antibiotic discovery is an example of how this might work. Based on this experience, I suggest the following. First, there's a need to agree on specific problems to be addressed. For each problem, it'll be important to identify a coalition of the willing, ideally from both the global north and the global south, and to then build mutual understanding of the current situation and options for addressing the problem, involving technical experts from all relevant countries. This can lead to the formulation and implementation of strategies for addressing the problem, beginning with collaboration between a few partners or with a focus in a specific region, but with the potential to extend to a wider group of countries. And finally, it'll be important to ensure learning about what works well and what does not, to contribute to broader discussions of appropriate governance arrangements. We are at a very early stage in the efforts to build more inclusive governance arrangements for a rapidly changing world. The IDS can contribute by supporting processes for building mutual understanding and for generating lessons from experiments with new approaches for addressing specific global challenges. And this is, I think, is a practical way forward. Thanks.